And as much as I love Nikola Jokic, are we going to put him on the same wavelength as those players? Because if you ask me, I think he has to be the MVP.
In my book, he is the MVP until someone shows me that they're having a better season. There's not a person having currently a better season than Nikola Jokic. There's people in the conversation, but to me, you got to knock out the champ.
Coming into the season, I don't think many people thought Nikola Jokic had a chance to win the MVP again. Yeah, we're at a point in the season where Nikola Jokic could very much repeat. Which, by the way, him winning the MVP 3 straight times would be one of the most insane accomplishments. I don't know if you guys know this, but not that many people do it. Only 3 players, including Wilt Chamberlain, Bill Russell, and Larry Bird, have won the MVP 3 straight seasons. Ironically, most of them are centers. But okay, Jokic is having a good season, but is it good enough to win his 3rd straight MVP? And even if he does have the stats to win MVP, is it even possible? Because the conversation of Jokic winning the MVP never really started until like March or April. He's very quiet throughout the season up until the last second where he just swoops the award away. Well, let's look into it. Can Nikola Jokic win MVP? First, I want to look at his stats. Nikola Jokic in the past couple years has put up insane numbers, but the argument was that Nikola Jokic had inflated stats because Jamal Murray wasn't healthy, Michael Porter Jr. wasn't healthy, and he was the only good player on his team. And for the most part, everyone is healthy except Michael Porter. But that's not really much of a surprise. Regardless of that, it is interesting to see that Jokic has dropped off a little bit in his stats. He went from averaging 27, 14, and 8 to now 25, 11, and 9. So you can see it's not the craziest drop off, but it is a drop off, which I expected because Jamal Murray, who was the second option on that team, is finally back. But regardless of that, I'm not even mad. These are good stats, but are they MVP caliber stats is the question. Well, when it comes to scoring, he's in the top 20, but I find it interesting in these top 3 in assists and top 6 in rebounds. So sure, your favorite MVP candidate is probably averaging about 30 points per game, but Jokic is averaging 25 and damn near a triple-double. Also, the one excuse you guys had on Jokic isn't even true anymore. For the past couple years, I've heard many people complain about Nikola Jokic winning the MVP, and the main reason I could see people arguing this is because the Nuggets were like the 4th or 5th seed. They were never the 1, 2, or even 3 seed. They were just a mid-level playoff team. For then which we started the conversation, how much does winning really impact in the MVP conversation? My argument at the time, because I went to war for this man, is that the Nuggets, yeah, they weren't the 1 seed, but they were still a playoff team. And if we're going off the most valuable player, Jokic is easily the most valuable, because without Jokic, they're a lottery team. I know this isn't the craziest sample size, but the Denver Nuggets are 12 and 19 all time without Nikola Jokic. So in the most generous way possible, they're not even a 500 ball club. And at the end of the day, isn't that what the MVP is? The most valuable player on said team? And it's not like Jokic isn't a top 3 player in the NBA. Yet the Denver Nuggets this season are the number 1 seed in the Western Conference. And I'd argue the Western Conference is pretty stacked right now. Though if you ask Ja Morant, he would tell you he's not worried.
No one in the West.
Nah.
I'm fine in the West.
Now look, I made a video about the Suns and the Grizzlies and the Pelicans, and at one point all of those teams were the number 1 seed in the Western Conference. So even in a week, if the Denver Nuggets are now like the 2nd or 3rd seed because the Western Conference is so damn close, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear anyone say the Nuggets aren't a good team this year, because they are. So again, the one excuse y'all had for not wanting to give Jokic the MVP, even though I know there's other reasons, well, that excuse doesn't exist anymore. And of course, the NBA, there are so many crazy things that could happen, and maybe in a couple months the Nuggets are like the 5th seed. But with the way the Nuggets are playing right now, I don't really see it happening that way, because Jokic doesn't seem to be messing around this season. It looks like he not only wants to win the 3rd straight MVP, but he wants Denver to do something. Now, not only this season he's been tearing up, but as of lately, he's been on a roll. A couple days ago, Nikola Jokic had a 40-point game along with 27 rebounds and 10 assists. Because of that performance, he would join Wilt Chamberlain and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar as the only players to do that. I mean, even if you want to go to his last game, where I would say it was his worst performance, he had 13, 13, and 13. Oh, and funny enough, it was versus the Grizzlies, which didn't Ja Morant say something about that?
No one in the West. Nah, I'm fine in the West.
Huh. Okay. Now, I want to go back to the stats because there was another argument that I heard last year that pissed me off. Nick Wright, which just saying his name makes my blood boil. But one of the biggest arguments that Nick Wright was making, and I only bring up Nick Wright because he was the biggest person when it came to anti-Jokic. He made a comment about Nikola Jokic only being an advanced stats guy because according to all the advanced statistics, Jokic was the best player in the NBA. So you know what? Let's look at the non-advanced statistics by Jokic because apparently the Nuggets can't be a good team despite them being the #1 seed, and he's just an advanced stats guy. He's averaging 25, 11, and 9 on shooting 62% from the field. Now you guys know I hate using field goal percentage, but I needed to bring this up because we're not going on advanced stats. I talked about this, but the Nuggets are the first seed in the Western Conference, and he also leads the NBA in plus minus. He is also first in double doubles and triple doubles. He also has the most assists per game by a center ever in NBA history. He is also the first ever player to have a 25, 10, and 5 season on 60% shooting from the field. So I don't want to hear he's just some advanced stats guy. But for all my nerds like me that do love advanced stats, he's leading the league in PER, win shares, BPM, and VORP. So what's the argument here? He's playing on one of the best teams in the Western Conference. He's leading in a bunch of statistical categories. He's one of the most efficient at what he does. Oh, and he's the best center in the NBA. There are so many reasons to say why Jokic should be the MVP. But unfortunately, there are some reasons why he might not win MVP, and it's out of his control. Jokic can play as good as he can. The Nuggets could end as the 1 seed, and they could even have some playoff success. But the unfortunate reality is that I don't think the NBA media will let him win it 3 times in a row. So, am I accusing the NBA media of xenophobia? Well, yeah. But to be honest, I don't think that would be the only reason. Now, do I think the hate of Nikola Jokic that he's received is because that he's from another country? Well, yeah, but to be fair, the same stuff that Giannis and Luka deals with, that applies to Jokic. But as far as him winning the MVP, I think voter fatigue is just going to play a factor. Like I mentioned earlier, there have only been a few players, mind you, these are all-time greats that have done it 3 times in a row. And as much as I love Nikola Jokic, are we going to put him on the same wavelength as those players? Now, I'm not against Jokic winning. In fact, I'd be pushing this agenda a lot harder because I truly believe it. But last season, I said there is no world where the NBA media lets Jokic win it back-to-back years. And we've discussed many reasons why in the past, whether it's they think his game is boring, the Nuggets in years past weren't the 1st or 2nd seed, so he shouldn't have counted for MVP, all that dumb stuff. But yet, he still won it back-to-back years, and now we're here where he could win it a 3rd time. I just don't see a world where the media lets that happen. But what do you guys think? You think Jokic should win the MVP? Because if you ask me, I think he has to be the MVP. So before this video ends, I just want to say a couple things real quick. So this video is coming out on the 23rd, which is just the next day. I'm recording this on the 22nd, and this is going to be my last video of the year. I'm going to take the rest of the year off. I need a little bit of a break. I need a little bit of time to just enjoy myself and enjoy time with family and just recharge. But trust me when I say I'm not spending all of that time relaxing. In fact, I have big plans for this year, which is why I'm not just taking like the 23rd to like the 25th or 6th off. If I want to reach the levels that I want to reach, I'm gonna have to expand my content a little bit. I've experimented with evergreen videos in the past, but just know I'm gonna be making a lot of high production evergreen content this year. I'm still gonna do the current day NBA stuff, I'm just gonna mix the 2 together. Also shorts, I'm gonna be uploading some shorts this year. I've done a lot of growing and learning this year, and I think I finally know what I need to do to take it to the next level. I want to thank you guys for the year that we've had, all the support I've gotten, just everything. I cannot thank you guys enough. You guys are the reason I wake up every single day and I'm able to do what I love. And for that, I'm really grateful. Merry Christmas, happy holidays, and fuck, I don't even know where to go from here.